journalists schooled on migration. Ministry of Health rescue of mental hospitals. Good evening and you're welcome to the major news. My name is Suyoko Kwakutre.
And I am Micheline Taka. To help us with the sign language is Robert Frimpong-Manso.
20 journalists from Anglophone West Africa are attending a training program on migration and the ECOWAS protocol on free movement in Accra.
The program is expected to expand the participants' knowledge in the subject to enable them to influence the content of their reportage.
The ECOWAS Spain Migration Project aims to provide information to the ECOWAS instruments of migration and the rights and obligations of member states towards refugees. The project is targeted at 3 audiences, namely migration management officials, the media and graduates from tertiary institutions. The training will focus on the effect of migration, regional and international legal framework for the protection of migrants, benefits of integration, and obstacles on the ECOWAS free movement, among others.
It appears obvious that many, if not all, the aims of the revised ECOWAS Treaty can only be realized if this very specific principle, if this principle of free movement becomes widely operational. And dear friends, I think one of the reasons why we are so far away from achieving that aim is due to the ignorance of our citizens about the positive implications of the agreements our governments have signed up to that entitle us to such rights and privileges within our sub-region.
Explaining the negative impact of migration, Spain's ambassador to Ghana, Madame Maria Alonso, said migrants face labor and sexual exploitation, thus financing projects that create awareness about the challenges of migration is imperative. A representative from the ECOWAS Commission, Dr. Tony Elumilu, advised member states in the sub-region to effectively manage migration. The project is under the theme popularizing regional and international provisions of protection for West African migrants through training and ICT.
The Vice Chairperson of the National Development Planning Commission, Dr. Esther Ofoya-Boaji, says the 40-year National Development Plan of the NDPC will have 5 strategic goals that are time-bound with measurable indicators of progress. She therefore called on institutions to monitor the performance of successive governments based on implementation of the plan when it becomes functional from 2018.
After a series of consultations with all stakeholders, the National Development Planning Commission, NDPC, has fashioned out 5-year strategic goals with time-bound targets and measurable indicators of progress that will be binding on all governments. At the 2nd Quadrennial Women's Congress of the Ghana Trades Union Congress in Kumasi, the Vice Chairperson of the National Development Planning Commission, Dr. Esther Ofoya-Boaji, said the 5-year strategic goals of Ghana's long-term development plan includes building an industrialized, inclusive and resilient economy, creating an equitable, healthy and disciplined society, and building safe, well-planned and sustainable communities.
The long-term national development goal has some priorities. Some of the priorities include increasing the share of manufacturing so that we create employment and stabilize the city, attain and sustain energy self-sufficiency, create over 15 million decent jobs across all sectors, raise household incomes, eliminate extreme poverty, and combat corruption and waste in national life.
The outgoing Secretary General of the Trades Union Congress, Mr. Kofi Asamoah, commended women for their contribution in trade unionism in the country.
Women are gradually asserting themselves in higher positions and decision-making with a lot of challenges and difficulties. Greater progress will require higher levels of organization and unionization of women workers, and their most active participation in decision-making levels of the unions and society in general.
The head of the Gender and Social Protection Desk of the Trade Union Congress, Madame Theresa Nadia Abuga, said the trade union and its partners have trained over 800 women in negotiation skills, gender and labor relations, as well as basic trade unionism.
Thanks for staying on. You're welcome to this segment. President John Mahama says he is confident of a resounding victory in the December 7th elections. His conviction stems from the infrastructural developments under his administration. Speaking at the launch of NDC's campaign at Cape Coast, the president admonished his party faithful not to be complacent in the execution of the social democratic agenda. Nuto has the rest of the story.
The ruling National Democratic Congress NDC's campaign launch for this year's elections was a mixture of action and fanfare. Scheduled to have started at 1 in the afternoon, some party faithful had thronged the ultra-modern stadium by crack of dawn to secure seats. The stadium was full to capacity with supporters who had come from every corner of the country and from abroad to render their solidarity to a government they believe has worked to advance the socio-economic life of Ghanaians. The arrival of the founder, ex-President Jerry John Rawlings, got the crowd excited. Vice President Kwesi Arthur was also welcomed with a thunderous applause. The crowd's cheers got deafening at the arrival of the president, John Mahama, and his wife, Lodina. At the campaign launch, the Mahama administration prided itself with unparalleled achievements in socio-economic infrastructure. Access to potable water has been increased from 57% in 2008 to 76% by 2015, expansion of health facilities with more polyclinics, new hospitals and CHIPS compounds, while good road networks have been extended even to remote areas of the country. They also touted achievements in the areas of education and social protection. The party leadership contended that, though the track record of the NDC was unprecedented, they needed to market same for improved electoral fortunes. Former President Rawlings cautioned all contesting parties to desist from the politics of mudslinging, vituperation and insults.
Let's not mimic their behavior. Let us reach into the principles and the values that emerged out of the circumstances that gave birth to us. And if we can hold onto those principles and those values, we will move way into the future and no one can ever defeat us.
Vice President Arthur said positive change was already happening in Ghana. Hence, there is no need to change a transformational team.
We want change that transforms. We want change that improves things. We want change that is inclusive. And all those changes we are getting with John Dramani Mahama. So why change when change is already taking place?
Women, we all choose JM. Families, we all choose JM because we know who JM is. God bless you all.
Launching the campaign, President Mahama assured Ghanaians of his resolve to continue taking the country on a trajectory of development so as to change lives and transform Ghana.
All kinds of accusations, including unprintable insults held at the person of the EC chair, have become normal. This is unacceptable.
But for students of politics, we can see the strategy behind it. It is an old trick in the book. Vilify the referee and reduce the credibility of the referee in the eyes of the public when you can tell you are losing the match. This creates the platform where, when you lose, to discredit and contest the outcome of the match. And this is the underlying cause for all the whining that is taking place against the Electoral Commission at every step of the electoral process. We shall continue to change more lives and transform Ghana, and I'll continue to build on the proud legacy of my predecessors, President Jerry John Rawlings and Professor John Evans Atta Mills, and I pledge to remain true to the ideals of our NDC party, and the Almighty God is on our side.
The campaign launch also saw the outdooring of a 15-member campaign team chaired by the party's General Secretary, Johnson Esiedun Ketia, and the introduction of the NDC parliamentary aspirants for this year's elections.
The Progressive People's Party has unveiled its presidential policy team. Members of the team will speak for the presidential candidate and the party in their areas of expertise. The presidential candidate, Dr. Kwesi Indum, explained that the team is an indication that the PPP has available, qualified and experienced men and women to change Ghana for the better if voted to power.
According to the Progressive People's Party PPP, the foundation for the Presidential Policy Team PPT is the party's policy document, which was launched in July at its national convention. The PPP says it has made public its policy document and encouraged Ghanaians to be abreast of the policy that sets out its reform agenda and job creation policy. Dr. Kwesi Indum said the PPT will engage in research, analysis and policy preparation for consideration and also give direction on how a PPP administration should implement the party's priority policies, including funding and human resource consideration. The priority areas of the party include constitutional and good governance, public sector reforms, compulsory and universal education, agriculture and food security, and preventable diseases.
What is it that is killing Ghanaians? What is killing our people? What is it that is making us lose productivity? Every day somebody says malaria. It's a preventable disease. Monococcal meningitis is a preventable disease. Cholera is a preventable disease, just as guinea worm is. So this team is to figure out what is it that we must do in Ghana to remove these people from our country. We know it can be done because others have done it.
In sports, a PPP administration intends to build facilities in all districts and introduce different sports discipline in children from kindergarten for improved performance at international sports competition. PPP will provide adequate financing of energy, embark on economic infrastructure that will open up the country for investment and development, ensure application of technology in implementing national objectives, and develop domestic and women enterprises.
We are also now going to start a project in the Bodome area. There are some women there who work with palm nuts. So you get palm nut oil, you get zomi. But then you also have the palm kernel. And you get the oil that comes from it and the other things, the byproducts that also come from it. We have gone there and told them that we are going to guarantee that whatever products they come up with, that there will be a ready market. We'll buy it from them.
The PPP says its choice of policy areas mirrors the challenges the country faces, and an inclusive approach will bring on board the right people to find and implement the solutions needed. The National Policy Advisor of the party, Mr. Kofi Asamoah-Sian, will serve as the convener of the presidential policy team.
On his tour of the Western region, the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, said an NPP administration would introduce measures to relieve Ghanaians of the socio-economic challenges confronting the country currently. He mentioned the introduction of a Zongo Development Fund, a regulated mining industry, as well as an aggressive industrialization program as some of the policies.
As part of his tour of the Western region, the MPP flag bearer Nana Akufo-Addo and his team called on chiefs and Muslim leaders before addressing the rallies. He also introduced parliamentary candidates for the various constituencies. Nana Akufo-Addo outlined the party's policies, which he says will alleviate the plight of Ghanaians. Nana Akufo-Addo and his team toured Akontombra, Dadieso, Takwa and Sekendi. He assured Ghanaians of a better future under an NPP administration. At Dadieso, the Zongo chief, Yakubu Yambela, complained about lack of farm input and jobs for the people. The spokesman for Nana Akufo-Addo, Mustafa Abdul Hamid, said the MPP supports peace and unity for all tribes and regions, hence the choice of Dr. Baumia as running mate for the flag bearer. At Himan in the Prestia Huni Valley district, the chief, Nana Intabuapra, appealed to the MPP flag bearer to include the establishment of a gold refinery in the area under his one district, one factory project.
Nana, what baya ebeba 2017 yamenepa? Development Fund. Good you are yet to yes, it will be the Mineral Development Fund. Media, Ametina, Sabin Marking kind. And so, Minya who be ever was a program I did not say. Minerals are yet to
At a rally at Prestia, Nana Akufo-Addo says his administration will ensure that small-scale mining is properly regulated.
The country Ghana for Chafi, I hope you will say, a Juma anyhow. No, I just hear Jerry now, Ghana says, Yakupama, Kwangana, Mraso, my wife said, Kuko Muti, ever since I buy near the Abba Fufraba, about the Boat.
The parliamentary aspirant for the constituency, Mrs. Barbara Otinjesi, said the focus is to fight for the welfare of the vulnerable, especially women and children. Nana Akufo-Addo continued to Takwa, where he worshipped at the Gadel Aqua Methodist Church. He asked Ghanaians to pray for the Electoral Commission to be able to discharge its duties dispassionately.
Electoral Commission. So Yakupon said that for the Nisi also. You want in years to say, no, Pepe. Yenya no high, Saya Tuabanuria, the Wenya, the Wenya Swat in the Wase, Jessa, and the Tuabano, and also the Bois, Masuria, and the
He also interacted with the Muslim community and addressed a large crowd at the Takwa Community Center and introduced Mr. George Mireku Duka as the parliamentary candidate. His final point was the launch of his campaign at Sekendi, where the already charged crowd was addressed by various speakers, including the National Women's Organizer, Otiku Afisa Jaba, First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Mr. Joe Gatti, Peter McMenu, Mr. Alan Chamantin, the Sekendi parliamentary candidate, Mr. Ejapa Messe.
Hello, good evening and welcome. We bring you some business updates. I am Dorothy Ajimine. Despite the enormous opportunities in the construction sector, experts say the youth shy away due to the perception that it involves manual labor and sometimes for school dropouts. Figures from Cotsvet indicate that only 2.8% of the workforce in the sector are the youth, with 97% being male. Experts say due to this perception by the youth, various branches in the construction value chain are not being fully utilized to create employment.
Ghana's construction industry has grown over the years with a current growth rate of over 20%. This is evident in Ghana's changing skyline, with structures at the airport city citing a number of skyscrapers. The sector, according to experts, is showing brighter prospects, mainly due to the growing middle-income class, a 1.7 million housing deficit, and a huge investment in physical infrastructure. The construction subsector, which embodies buildings and roadworks, contributes $500 to $600 million to GDP annually and currently employs over 320,000 workers. There is concern, however, over the near absence of the youth in this sector. When GBC24 spoke to the public on reasons why the youth does not get involved in construction, one key response was that it is seen as laborious and the job for the illiterate.
The reason why most of the youth feel so shy to go into construction is that they think construction is only low-life people go into construction. Illiterates, if I may say, go into construction. To me, I came out to tell them that it's not, they got it all wrong. You should draw that mindset from them. Construction, even people with HND go into construction.
We Ghanaians, we don't regard construction workers. Even if you are working with your girlfriend, somebody just pointed his or her hand on you that this guy is a construction worker. Maybe they go fish shine because of those kind of things.
The Minister of State in charge of public-private partnership, Rashid Pelpo, at a recent forum encouraged the youth to venture into the construction value chain.
Skill building for young people cannot be overemphasized in our national development. To build their skills and to train them to become entrepreneurs is very unique to our economy. More and more, the dependence of our young people on the formal sector, state sector, is becoming alarming. Huge numbers of our young people have finished university. They are untrained to get onto the job market by themselves. They don't have the required skills if somebody wants to employ them. And so they are often found wanting.
In recent times, construction has become one of the major sources of income for many. With an increasing number of high-rise buildings springing up in the country, the youth are being there to take advantage of this growing sector of the economy, which has several branches in the construction value chain. In an interview with GBC24, the managing director of EASL, Mr. Louis Sachmo Atongo, mentioned several areas such as branding, advertising, and bidding. He admitted that although the construction industry is laborious, the youth can focus on other areas in the industry.
There are a lot of opportunities in the construction industry as the government embarks on massive infrastructure development in the industry. There are opportunities for graduates from the polytechnics, from the technical school and the universities. There are also opportunities for artisans, both skilled and unskilled. It depends on what aspect of construction you are looking at. Yeah, if you go into it to do the unskilled labor work, like being a laborer to dig foundations and other things, you say it's laborious. But if you go into it as an engineer, as a carpenter, as a mason, as a steel bender, as an electrician or a plumber, you don't see it as being laborious because there is no work that does not entail labor.
Mr. Louis Atongo also attributed the neglect of the industry by the youth to inadequate education in schools on the prospects of the industry.
What can be done to sustain their interest in construction is for timely payment of their services. But often contractors do work and they don't receive timely payments. In that case, they are not able to pay the youth they've employed to do their work. And the youth usually get discouraged by such tendencies. So I think if the authorities pay timely the services rendered by contractors, the contractors in turn will pay for the services rendered by the youth. So if we are able to maintain that equilibrium, the youth's interest in construction can be enhanced.
Experts say it is evident that as the industry is pegged to grow at a rate of over 25% in the next few years, more job opportunities will abound. They encourage the teeming unemployed youth to take advantage of the many branches of this industry to cut down on the rate of unemployment in the country.
Net worth of the Busa Community Bank, Buko Bank, increased by 17.7% from 2.48 million Ghana cedis in December 2014 to 2.91 million same period last year. Loans and advances portfolios hit a targeted growth of 6.6% in the year under review. The chairman of the board of directors of the bank, Nab Akanab Apongwing, stated this at the climax of the bank's 20th anniversary and 16th annual general meeting at Sandema in the Upper East region.
The Busa Community Bank, Buko Bank, was in 2014 adjudged the best rural community bank in the Upper East region by the Association of Rural Community Banks. Despite its success story, the bank continues to perform creditably and succeeded in making strides in the period under review. Last year, the bank's profit increased against the shortfalls in its profit before tax in 2014.
The bank share capital increased from 450,020 Ghana cedis in December 2014 to 497,517 in December 2015, representing an increase of 10.6%.
The ARB Apex Bank urged management of Buko Bank to work harder in their quest to make the bank a leading rural and community bank in the region.
You are very close to the 500,000 capital requirement by the Bank of Ghana for 2016. There is, however, a lot of share capital mobilization ahead, as rural and community banks will have to raise their share capital to 1 million Ghana cedis by the end of 2017 as directed by the Bank of Ghana.
Awards were given to deserving staff and shareholders, including pioneers of Buko Bank.
This is the business segment of the news. Moving on the interbank markets, the dollar is trading at 3 cedis, 93 pesos, whilst the pound trades at 5 cedis, 9 pesos. Coming up is insurance news. In insurance news, an actuary is a business professional who deals with the measurement and management of risk and uncertainties in the insurance industry. Only 7 of such professionals are currently in the industry because few universities offer training in that area. Per the requirements of the National Insurance Commission, every insurance company needs the expertise of actuaries. The director for the Ghana Insurance College, Mr. Justice Ofori, said more actuaries are needed to grow the insurance industry.
Insurance experts advise that insurance companies in the country must set up professional actuaries to support service delivery. An actuary in an insurance company helps to design and price insurance policies to make them competitive and profitable. Actuaries make extensive use of analysis, economics, and mathematical skills to evaluate risks. They set guidelines for each risk class and category. The underwriter's role starts after an actuary has completed his task. The director for the Ghana Insurance College, Mr. Justice Ofori, said the industry lacks the expertise of actuaries because they are few in the system.
On the Ghanaian market, we don't have many of them. We have probably about 6 or 7 on the market. The industry needs a lot of actuaries, just that we don't have them on our market. It is a requirement by the NIC that all insurance companies should have actuarial units within their companies. So there's a market for actuaries, and I think it's a very important profession so far as insurance is concerned. All insurance companies have actuaries. Sometimes they don't have them employed on the premises, but they have them as consultants.
A successful actuary needs to understand the nature of insurance, the risk inherent in different types of assets, the ways of using statistical modules, and the legal and regulatory constraints that apply to the business. GBC24 chanced on an actuary for the National Insurance Commission and a resource person at the Ghana Insurance College, Mr. Richard Ochery.
At the commission, basically, the actuarial department work is in the area of solvency. That is, we assess the company's financial position to ensure it is solvent at all times, which means that the company's assets should be more than the liability based on a particular solvency regime at the commission. And also look at the risk the companies are exposed to. Look at all this and we assess it, quantify it, and then provide some advice to the company.
An actuary's ultimate aim is to protect the policyholder.
The insurance news was brought to you by SIC Live. The news continues after this break.
Time now for the health segment. The Ministry of Health has allocated an amount of 1.5 million Ghana cedis to the 3 psychiatric hospitals in the country. They are Ankafo, Pantine and the Accra Psychiatric Hospitals. The Accra Psychiatric Hospital stopped receiving mental patients for admission because, like the 2 other hospitals, it was indebted to its suppliers. The allocation of the money is expected to take care of that problem.
For some time now, the 3 psychiatric hospitals have been facing challenges due to their indebtedness to suppliers. The Accra Psychiatric Hospital, for example, stopped receiving mental patients for admission due to lack of funds and food supplies to run the hospital. A member of the communication team at the Accra Psychiatric Hospital, Mr. Emmanuel Febri, said companies that supply the hospital with detergents, gloves and foods have stopped supplying the hospital since 2013 due to an outstanding debt of about 4.2 million Ghana cedis.
Since all that they are taking is basically on donations, they've reduced the quantity a bit, feeling hungry. You can imagine what can happen, and a patient who is on medication, and with the medication too, somebody when they take it, they need some food to help it in function and all that. So imagine if you reduce the food now, what it can happen. And already, when cases of attack from patients happened, there's nothing like risk allowance for the staff. So now that we are not getting that require food for them, it's not the best of situation at all.
The Ministry of Health fulfilled a recent promise by releasing the 1.5 million Ghana cedis to help maintain quality mental health care in the country.
According to them, they owe suppliers for 4 years now. So obviously, you can't be paying 4 years debt today. You would pay some and also continue hoping that you get some resources to send later. We went there about a month ago to give them some food stuff, another thing for them to be able to run properly. Just last week, the minister approved 1.5 million for the Mental Health Authority, and they are getting part of that money. So as I speak to you, money has been sent to these psychiatric hospitals to be able to run effectively.
The Accra Psychiatric Hospital has confirmed receiving its share of the money. The head of the Public Relations Department of the Ministry of Health, Mr. Tony Goodman, said the ministry is doing everything possible to get a legislative instrument passed which will facilitate the creation of a fund for effective management of the mental hospitals.
The Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana has held a medical outreach at Intotrosu in the Esutifi district of the Bunahafo region. Residents were screened for various ailments.
The annual general meeting of the Pharmaceutical Society of Ghana is preceded by a medical outreach to a community in the host region. This year, residents of Intotroso, a mining area of the Esutifi district, benefited from the exercise. They were screened for various ailments such as malaria, hypertension, and diabetes. A clinic and a laboratory were set up to take care of those requiring treatment. The residents were encouraged to maintain proper personal hygiene to prevent the spread of diseases. Officials of the Food and Drugs Authority appealed to the public to report side effects and other challenges they experience with medications or medical kits to the authority for
Let's still stay with Rio, where British Andy Murray became the first tennis player to win 2 Olympic single titles. He beat Argentina's Juan Martín del Potro in Rio. An emotional Murray secured a thrilling 7-5, 4-6, 6-2, 7-5 victory to make it Britain's most successful day at an overseas games with 5 gold medals. Both men looked exhausted in the fourth set of a grueling 4-hour contest, with Murray breaking down in tears after finishing his gritty opponent. And so let's come back home, where Midiama SC on Sunday beat DR Congo Giants TP Mazembe by 3-2 in second league. The win means Midiama are closer to a historic semi-final stage of the ongoing CAF Confederations Cup. After half an hour without a goal, Ateje put Midiama ahead in the 33rd minute. Moses Sapon converted a 58-minute penalty to give Midiama what seemed an unassailable lead. But TP Mazembe would not lie low, and they quickly pulled one back just after 4 minutes through Jonathan Bolingi. 10 minutes later, danger man Calabar stunned the home side with the equalizer. This ensured a tense, frustrating final minute for Midiama. With group rivals MO Bejaya losing in Tanzania on Saturday, Midiama were aware a win would give them a huge boost towards a semi-final spot. In the last minute of added time, striker Kwesi Donsu sent the stadium agog with a dramatic winner. Midiama are now second in the group and 3 points clear of Algerian side Bejaya ahead of their final match with the Algerians away. Still staying with football, but this time to ladies soccer, where the Ghana Police ladies football team beat Lady Strikers by 3-1. The encounter was one of the penultimate matches in the ongoing National Women's Football League. The Tesano Depot Park hosted one of the last but one fixtures in the ongoing National Women's Football League. Police in the blue and white jersey were looking for a revenge after going down to Lady Strikers in the first round by 4-1. Police were up by 2 goals after the first half. In the second half, Police continued to dominate. They increased their tally to 3 through a free kick. Lady Strikers pulled one back to end the encounter by 3-1. The president of the Ghana Football Association, Kwesi Nyantichi, who watched the encounter, was happy at the quality displayed.
I'm very excited about the level of play of our women. I think the women deserve a lot of support, and with that, I believe and hope the quality and interest in the game will be better than we saw this afternoon. Nevertheless, from the match that I saw on the Sakura pitch, I think that they did well, and we need to encourage them. We need to invest more, and we need to provide more support so they can do better.
Coaches of the two sides shared their experience.
We did not start very well, but around second half, we decided to bring some new faces to beef up the strength, and I think that is our secret. Now we know we can go in for the 2. Going for the FA Cup, we take the league.
Playing away, it's a different ball game together.
But I believe that we have some injuries, and I believe that affected us in the game.
Here are some results after match day 13. Halifax 1, Soccer Intellectuals 0. Bafana Ladies 1, Immigration 0. Police 3, Lady Strikers 1. Ampem Dakwa 2, Ashtown Ladies 1. Northern Ladies 2, Prison Ladies 1. Lepo Ladies 3, Subai Golden Ladies 0. So remember to make a date with GTV Sports Plus for more highlights and for more live feed from the ongoing real games. That's all for sports.
Time for showbiz. Do you just dance to your favorite music or you sing along as well? Lyrics to some songs are very difficult to hear, either because of the way the musician pronounces the words or because the lyrics are in a different language. GBC24 entertainment team tried to find out how well some children know the lyrics to their favorite songs.
When your health and strength begin to fail you, when you say that's what shall I do? Because of days and years you may have wasted, when your memory is something new.
Everybody's been counting you out, but where are they now? Sit in the same old place, just faces in the crowd. We all make mistakes, you might fall on your face.
When Jesus says yes, nobody can say no. When Jesus says yes, nobody can say no. I'm not worried about a thing, 'cause I know you are guiding me. Where you lead me, Lord, I will go.
Spanky, Jenu Pebrikyo, yo never gone, Jenu Pebrikyo, yo never go, body go, Benny Gable for, it will make.
We'll end the news for now. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back at 10:30 for news tonight. Good evening.